Hi, my name's Sarah DeBorre and welcome to Sarah DeBorre Yoga. We are practicing today down near the dam on our property, 37 acres that my husband and I own out here in regional Victoria, just outside of the town of Heathcote, kind of between Melbourne and Bendigo, I guess. Jess is going to be joining us. I think she is standing guard and probably waiting for some ducks or something like that to land on the dam. We're going to come through a really slow, gentle flow today. So just taking it easy, some gentle movement, which will be really good for beginners, and we'll focus on alignment as well in the poses. We'll have plenty of time in each pose to work on the alignment. And we're going to get started today just in a simple seat. So you might like to sit cross-legged or kneeling, depending on what's most comfortable for you. I'd recommend, if you've got it home, if you do have yoga blocks, great. If not, you can use a book, if you've got a big book, or maybe even a pillow. They can be really helpful just to sit on so that we're a little bit more comfortable, especially if you're sitting in a cross-legged position. It can really help to just turn those hips in the direction that makes it a little bit more comfortable and easier for us to open up and lengthen through the spine. So I guess choose the seat that you would like to come to. I'm going to sit on my blocks on my knees, and once you're comfortable, I'll get you to shut down the eyes, and we'll just start with a seated meditation to begin with and come through some pranayama, so some breath work before we get started. So shutting down those eyes when you're ready. And hopefully you're seated now, and in that seat, let's breathe in and bring those shoulders all the way up to the ear. So it's like we're hunching our shoulders up, and exhale, release down the back. Let's do that again. So breath in through the nose, shoulders rise up, and breath out through the mouth as we let those shoulders sink down. Once more, breath in, shoulders hunch on up, and exhale to release. Settling into stillness. And taking a gentle tuck of the chin, just a little micro one, so that we extend through the back of the neck. Plugging down through those sit bones. And on the breath in, maybe seeing if you can grow just a little taller, like there's a piece of string attached to the very top of your head, and it's lifting you up so that we're nice and long through that spine. Hands can be resting on your legs, in your lap, palms face down or up. Yogi's choice today. And let's start by drawing our awareness to the sounds around us. So I want you to listen for the absolutely furthest sound away from you. So that could be something that's happening outside. It might be the sound of passing traffic. For me, it's the sound of the cacophony of birds out here this morning, including our rooster Bobby Martin, who's crowing up near our shed. And start to bring that awareness a little bit closer. So listen out for sounds that are a little bit closer to you now, maybe within the room or the space that you're practicing. Maybe if you're outside, in that immediate space around you. Maybe it's even the sounds that you're hearing from my farm. And now start to bring that awareness even closer in. So listening to the sound maybe of your breath. The gentle in and out through the nose. Paying attention to the sensation of touch. Maybe your hands are resting on your legs. What does the fabric or the skin feel like to touch? What's the temperature like? Can you feel that on the skin? Is there a breeze? Paying attention to all of these little things that are in and outside of the body. Let's all take an inhale breath through the nose and open the mouth, sigh it out. Once again, in through the nose. Once more, really try to make some noise on that exhalation. And back to a steady breath in and out of the nose. We'll come through some box breathing now, with square breath. And so this is a really great way to just calm through the central nervous system. It's a really great one to even use at home when you need to maybe bring yourself into a calm, aligned space. Maybe you've practiced it before. We'll be breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding for 4. And then we repeat that cycle for a few rounds. I'm going to count you through the first few rounds, and then from there you can take it on your own for a few rounds. And if the 4 count doesn't suit you, then please feel free to make it a 3 count or a 5 count or a 6, whatever is going to really suit you. And we're breathing solely in and out through the nose. So let's all exhale to begin with. And breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and continuing like this, let's say 3 more rounds. And as you finish your final round, just coming back to your natural in and out breath through the nostrils. Gently blinking open the eyes. We're going to just come through some gentle twists and stretches to begin with. So it doesn't matter whether you're cross-legged or kneeling, but let's breathe in, arms reach up. And exhale, right fingertips come to the mat. We're going to stretch that left arm up and overhead. And we're not dumping in to that shoulder. We're working that chest up and open so that we can take that gaze under the armpit, feeling that nice stretch through the side body. Breath in, arms reach back up through center. And on the exhale, left fingertips come to the mat as the right hand reaches up and over. And remembering we're spiraling that chest open, looking under that right armpit. And coming back up through center, arms reach up overhead. Let's exhale, and we're going to come into the twist towards the right. So left hand comes to the outer right thigh as we take the right hand into a bind behind our back. And we're going to use that leverage to inhale, sit taller, and exhale, work into the twist. And every inhale, I want you to focus on growing that spine a little taller. And on the exhale, maybe twisting a little bit deeper. The gaze can come towards the right shoulder, but I don't want you twisting that neck too far. So it's just a gentle turn of the head. Breath in, arms reach back up and overhead. And exhale, twisting to the left this time. Right hand comes to the outer left thigh as our other arm comes behind us into the bind. Breath in to sit a little taller, and exhale, working into that twist. And at all times here, we're focusing on our breath, so that steady in and out breath. Breath in, arms reach up and overhead. And let's take that twist once more. So let's twist again to the right. Left hand comes to the outer right thigh. taking that gentle bind behind the back. Breath in to grow tall, and remembering the exhale to twist maybe a little deeper. Breath in, arms reach up and overhead, and twisting to the opposite side. Right hand comes to the outer left thigh. And inhale, arms reach up back through center and hands through heart center, our Anjali Mudra. We're going to come over now into our tabletop position. So removing any blocks that you might have or pillows that you're sitting on and just popping them off to the side so that we can come through our tabletop. So in tabletop we want to, and any time that our hands are on the ground, we want to keep our fingers nice and spread. So like our little tree frog hands, and wrists are directly underneath our shoulders. Knees are underneath our hips, and we've got our neutral spine. So we'll come through our cat-cow, and breath in, the belly is going to dip, and we're going to bring the gaze up as our tailbone really pushes up. And exhale, tucking everything under, pushing through the hands, curving through that spine. Really accentuate the movement. Breath in to dip the belly. Bring the gaze up. And exhale to tuck everything under. Let's do 3 more rounds on our own. Coming back to neutral when you're done. Let's tuck the toes now, and we're just going to walk our hands back towards our knees so that we're sitting on our heels. So our butt is just on top of our heels, and let's take those little toes, grab those little toes and just draw them out a little bit so that they're also taking some of that weight. Now this is quite an intense stretch for most people, and if it's really too much for you, then just bring your butt up off of your heels so you can bring your weight a little bit more forward. Generally, a lot of us shove our poor little toes into shoes all day, and it's really, I guess, restrictive for our poor toes. So this is a really great way to open up through our toes and feet. And really important in our yoga practice too, because it helps us move through some of those transitions, like coming through our up dog, back to down dog transition. So while we're here, let's take our mind maybe off of those toes, and we'll come through just an easy Gomukhasana grip of the arms. So breath in, arms reach up. And on the exhale, let's bend the right elbow. So taking that hand to the inside of the shoulder blade, and the left hand is going to grab the elbow and just draw it down a little bit deeper. Make sure we tuck those ribs in if they're flaring out, and drawing that hand down. Remembering that you can lift the weight up if it's too much in those toes. You can be doing it up here. And let's switch the arms over, so releasing that grip, arms come up, and exhale to the opposite side. Right hand on top of left elbow. Arms reach up and overhead, and hands back to the mat, all fours, and let's just kick out those little toes. So giving ourselves a little toe massage, which might feel good. We're going to come into puppy pose now. So For those of you who might not be familiar with puppy, knees are going to be underneath our hips, and we're just going to walk those hands forward and sink our chest down to the mat. So it's like our butt is up in the air and our forehead comes to rest either on the mat, or you can use your brick or a pillow to rest your forehead on, depending on how open your shoulders are. So if you're tight through the shoulders, this might be difficult. And if it feels comfortable and it's accessible to you, you can rest on your chin here. And staying as low to the mat as possible, we're going to slide forward into our Sphinx pose. So just sliding along the mat, tummy comes down, but forearms stay flat, elbows are underneath our shoulders, and we're going to make this an active Sphinx. So I want you to think about those palms, fingers all spread nice and wide and gripping down into the mat or the ground below you. And we're going to work to pull the elbows and hands back so we beam that chest forward. At the same time, pressing that pubic bone into the mat, which is just going to take some of that pressure off of the lower back. And let's engage the glutes and press our toenails into the mat. So it's this really active Sphinx. Gaze is just forward. I don't want you tipping that neck back. And releasing that pose, let's tuck straight back to our child's pose, Balasana. So Balasana, toes can be together, knees out wide, shoe Mr. Bullant, arms reaching out in front, or you can bring the knees together and arms on either side with your forehead touching the mat, whichever one feels comfortable for you. The child's pose is a great way to open up through the hips, and so we'll take a few breaths here. Starting to tuck the toes. If you've got your arms beside you, extend them in front, and we're going to push up to our first downward facing dog. And pedaling out through those legs. Wrapping the armpits in to face each other so that we protract through those shoulders. And let's all take a generous bend in those knees so that we can push back through our fingertips and really elongate that back before we straighten through the legs any amount. Feet are hip distance apart. And breath in, let's rise all the way up to our tippy toes. And exhale, sinking the heels back to the mat. Inhale, tippy toes. And exhale to sink the heels down. Once more, breath in, tippy toes. And exhale to sink the heels. Coming to the tippy toes, let's take a slow stroll. Bent knees or straight legs all the way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins. And exhale to fold. Let's do it again. Inhale, half lift, hands to shins. And exhale, folding back down to the mat. I've got a few bull ants joining me this morning. We're going to come into our forward fold. So let's grab opposite elbows and we're going to dangle here, opening up through the back of the hamstrings, releasing any tension in the neck and shoulders. Taking any movement here that feels good, so maybe nodding the head yes, shaking it no. You might like to sway forward and backwards or from side to side or in little circles, but just feeling what feels good for your body and taking as much of a bend in those knees as you need to feel comfortable. Releasing the hands down to the mat. We're going to take a really generous bend in those knees, just so that the belly touches the thighs, and draw that belly in, and we're slowly going to come to standing one vertebrae at a time, maybe for a count of 10. When you reach the top, arms come up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center by your side to Tadasana. Really engaging in this pose. We're not standing here all floppy. We're plugging down through those toes, through the feet. Legs are active, glutes are engaged, belly draws in, shoulder blades are drawing together. Breath in, arms reach up. And exhale, taking a really slow dive down to the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, planting those hands. Let's step back 1 foot at a time to our high plank. Lowering the knees. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Plugging the toenails in, breath in, baby cobra. And exhale to release. Tucking back to our child's pose. Tuck the toes and back up to our down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, tippy toes, and taking that slow stroll all the way to the top of your mat. And breath in, halfway lift, hands to shins, and exhale to fold. Breath in, coming all the way up to standing, a little faster this time. And exhale, hinging at the hips to slowly dive all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, half lift, and exhale to fold. Trying to remember which foot you stepped back with last time and switching it up into our high plank. And knees on or off the mat. We're slowly lowering for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breath in to up dog or baby cobra. And exhale back to our down dog. Breath in and out. Breath in, tippy toes, and slowly walking again to the top of our mat. Breath in, hands to shins, half lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. And exhale to dive straight back down to the mat. Inhale, half lift, fingertips to shins or mat. And exhale, planting the hands, stepping back to our high plank. Knees on or off, lower chaturanga for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to up dog. And exhale back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, tippy toes, and exhale, walking all the way back to our top of the mat. Breath in, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Keeping your feet at hip distance, so that's roughly our 2 little fists when we plug them together like that and pop them between the big toe mounds. We're going to sweep our fingertips on the mat as we sit back into our chair pose, Utkatasana. Belly draws in and arms are reaching up and overhead, so our biceps are moving towards our ears. I want you to think about tucking that tailbone, so a gentle tuck of the tailbone, which is going to help us straighten through that spine. It's also going to help us engage those lower abs. And you can bring your hands to heart center, your Anjali Mudra, if it's getting a bit too much on the shoulders. Maybe sinking just a little deeper. And exhale, folding forward to the mat. Inhale, half lift. And exhale to fold. Let's step back into our downward facing dog. And breath in, right leg lifts. Let's peel open the hip. Bending at the knee, taking the heel towards the butt. And let's just pay attention to what's happening in our shoulders. So is our left shoulder dipping down and the right shoulder's up? If so, bring that right shoulder back down. So right armpit comes back down to the mat so that we're nice and level. Right toes are flexed, that foot is active. On the next inward breath, let's come high onto the tippy toes of the left foot. And exhale, right knee to chest, stepping that foot between our hands, dropping the back knee, coming into our Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Left glute is engaged. And we're drawing that right hip back into the socket. Gentle tuck of the tailbone, lower belly draws in. And make sure that we're not hunching those shoulders up. So really relaxing those shoulders down. Fingertips come back down to the mat. Tucking the back toes. We're going to stay on the fingertips as we beam our heart forward into our high runner's lunge. So feeling that nice opening all the way through the front of the left hip flexor. Back leg is really engaged, so that left glute is fired on. And on your next exhale, let's straighten through that front leg, walking the fingertips back now. We're coming into our pyramid pose. So there's a few options here. You might like to stay high on the back foot like I am right now, or you can step that foot in and bring it to a 45-degree angle. Now, if you do have your blocks or your books handy, they can be really useful in this position just to give us a bit more length, so you can bring your hands to those blocks. Let's breathe in, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. And you can have as much of a bend through that front leg as you need. And let's all think about that hip alignment. So maybe looking back at those hips, drawing that right hip back while we aim to pull the left hip forward. Releasing the blocks if you have them, or your books, whatever you might be using at home. Fingertips back to the mat, maybe readjusting your stance so that we come back to our runner's lunge, beaming the heart forward on the in-breath. And on your next exhale, let's step that right foot back to our down dog. We'll come through a slow vinyasa flow. So we're going to take this in slow motion. We're going to work to a 5 count. And you can choose to have your knees on or off of the mat. That's totally fine for our chaturanga. So if you're ready, coming with me, rippling forward to high plank for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees on or off, lower, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, up dog, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale back to down dog for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. That is a tough one, but it's going to help us build some strength. Breathing in and out. Breath in, left leg lifts. And let's exhale, peel open that hip, bending the knee, taking that heel towards the butt. Really flexing those left toes. Making sure we're not dumping too much weight into that right shoulder. On your next inward breath, coming high onto the tippy toes of the right foot. And exhale, left knee to chest, stepping through for our Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Dropping the back knee, arms raise up and overhead. Drawing that lower belly in, that gentle tuck of the tailbone. Right glute is engaged. And that left leg is drawing in. So we're like plugging that left leg back into the hip socket. Fingertips come down to the mat to frame the front foot. Tucking the back toes, we're pushing up to our high runner's lunge. So we're staying on our fingertips here. And breath in, let's beam that heart forward. Back leg is strong, glute is engaged. Shoulder blades are drawing together. And on your next exhale, we're going to straighten through that front leg, coming into our pyramid pose. So maybe walking those hands back. You might be grabbing your blocks or bricks. And maybe even stepping that foot in a little bit and bringing the whole sole of the foot to the mat, in which case it's pointing at 45 degrees. Making sure we've got our hips in the right position, so the left hip is drawing back as the right hip pushes forward. Breath in, halfway lift, straightening through the back, and exhale to fold. Let's remove those blocks or books if you've got them. Fingertips come back to the mat, and setting back up for our runner's lunge. We're on our fingertips and breathing in, beaming our heart forward just for a couple of breaths again. Before we exhale, stepping the left foot back to our down dog. And either resting in down dog or coming for that slow 5 count Vinyasa flow. So breath in and out just to set up. Breath in, ripple forward to high plank. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees on or off, lower chaturanga. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up dog or baby cobra. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down dog. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. That's certainly going to build some gentle heat in our body and some strength. Breath in, right leg lifts. And exhale, knee comes to the chest. Step that foot between the hands and rising up for our high crescent lunge. Left glute is engaged. Belly draws in and up. And it's that same sensation that we had in our low lunge. So we're drawing that right leg back into the hip socket. And on your next exhale, we're going to open up to warrior two. So left foot spins to the mat as the heel anchors. Right knee is bent over the ankle. And we don't want to be dumping any weight into that right knee. So we're working to draw that right knee out. Maybe elongating your stance so it's a bit longer on the mat. And there's this sensation that we're drawing both feet in. So we're trying to scrunch up that mat together so that we're really engaged. Gaze is down the middle finger. And the arms are strong here. It's like you're shooting energy out of each fingertip. Belly draws in. And on the next exhale, straighten through that front leg. Right arm comes up and overhead. Left arm comes down the back thigh into our reverse triangle. Hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra. And we're going to take our weight now into the left leg. So bending the left knee, right toes come off of the mat, and we're going to sit down into our Skandasana on the left leg. So you might choose to be up high or low, and the left heel can be lifted. You can bring your fingertips to the mat or to a block if you've got that there. But I want you to think about having those right toes lifted and flexing towards the shin. We're drawing that kneecap up, so by engaging that right quad. And this is a tough one to hold, but one more breath. Hands come to the mat, and let's walk ourselves up to the top of the mat, setting up for our simple twist. Left hand down, right arm reaches up to the sky. Back leg is engaged, as is that back glute, just like it was in our runner's lunge. And we're going to take some windmills of that right arm now. And as we windmill that arm, we're going to straighten through the front leg back to our pyramid. So breath in, arm sweeps to the back. And on the inhale, as it comes to the mat, we come back to our pyramid. Once again, breath in, bending through the front knee. Right arm sweeps up back to our simple twist. Holding for a breath. And then exhale, fingertips come to the back of the room, straightening through that front leg back to our pyramid. Once more, bending through that front knee, arm sweeps back up to our simple twist, and holding here. Hand sweeps back around, fingertips come to the mat this time, keeping that knee bent. We're going to simply step back to our downward facing dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Maybe staying here, resting in down dog, or you can bring your knees to the mat in child's pose. Alternatively, you can join me for one of those super slow-mo flows. Breath in, ripple forward, high plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees on or off, lower, chaturanga, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, up dog baby cobra for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale back to down dog, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're in child's pose, tucking those toes and coming back up to our down dog, we're going to take a breath in and left leg lifts, three-legged dog. Let's exhale, peel open that hip, bending the knee, taking it towards our butt. Breath in, lifting to the tippy toes of the right foot, and exhale, knee to chest, stepping through for our high crescent lunge, rising up strong. Right glute is engaged. Gentle tug of the tailbone, belly draws in. And on the exhale, opening up to our warrior two. Right heel comes down to the mat. Maybe lengthening the stance, sinking deep into that front knee. Remembering to draw that knee out towards the left. I know sometimes these longer holds can end up being even tougher than when we take a much quicker moving class. But we're building strength through these slow, long holds. Breath in, straighten through that front leg, reverse triangle. Left arm reaches up for the sky. And exhale, hands come to heart center, our Anjali Mudra. We're setting up for our Skandasana, so coming onto the heel of that left foot as we bend through the right knee. You might need to bring that right heel in as we sink down towards the mat. Remembering you can have the option of being in a high Skandasana or low and hands can come to the mat or a brick for support, and it's totally fine for that heel to be lifted. Everybody is different. Left toes are flexing up, belly draws in. And breathe. One more breath. I know you can do it, those thighs are burning. And hands to the mat. Let's walk ourselves all the way forward into our simple twist. Right hand plants, left arm extends up. Hi Jess. Right glute is engaged and that back leg is strong. We're going to come through our windmill pyramid combo in a moment. So the exhale sweeps the arm to the back of the room, and inhale, hand comes to the mat as we straighten through that front leg into our pyramid. Inhale, arm reaches up and overhead, back to our simple twist. And exhale, fingertips to the back, right around to the front. Inhale, straightening through that front leg pyramid. Once more. Inhale, bending through the front knee, arm sweeps up to our simple twist. And on the exhale, hand sweeps to the back, straightening through the front leg back to our pyramid. Bending back through the front knee, coming back to our simple twist. And hand sweeps back down to the mat. Let's step back to our downward facing dog. Resting here in downward dog. Or maybe dropping the knees, coming to child's pose. Or coming with me for one final slow motion Vinyasa flow. Breath in, ripple forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower chaturanga for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And downward dog. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breath in, right leg lifts. And we're getting ready to set up for our pigeon. So the right knee bends, it comes in towards the chest, but it parks behind the right wrist. And the right ankle comes over towards the left wrist. Dropping that back leg, maybe walking it back a little bit. Maybe staying here in a seated position. If you've got those blocks or a book handy or a pillow, you can put it underneath that right glute if it is lifted like mine is. That's because I'm really tight through the hips. And we're going to take a breath in to lengthen. Exhale to fold forward any amount down to the mat. Breath in, coming to the fingertips and pushing back up, tucking the back toes. Let's come back to our downward facing dog. You might need to shift any props off to the side. And we're just going to set up for pigeon on the opposite side, so left leg lifts. And bending the knee, bringing that in towards the left wrist. Ankle comes over towards the right wrist. Walking that right leg back a little bit. Maybe using that prop underneath the left hip. Breathing in to come up tall. And exhale to walk the hands forward. Coming back up to our fingertips. Let's remove that block. And if you'd like to come back through down dog to stretch out, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, we're just going to roll over onto that left hip and bring our right leg in front of us. And we're just going to set up for a forward fold. So legs out in front and maybe removing the fleshy parts away from the sit bones to help you sit up nice and tall. Taking as much of a bend as you need through those knees. So if you've got tight hamstrings, I really recommend taking a bend through the knees. And we're going to flex those toes towards us. Breath in, arms reach up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward. And we're not yanking ourselves into this position. You can hold on to the feet if they're within your reach, but otherwise just resting the hands on the mat. And releasing, coming back up to seated. Maybe shrugging those shoulders, giving ourselves some shoulder rolls in one direction. And then rolling in the opposite direction. Legs extend straight, drawing that belly in. We're going to slowly lower down to the mat and just use our core in the process. So arms reach out and let's slowly lower. Take as much time as you can. There's absolutely no rush. So rolling down one vertebrae at a time. And when you get there, hugging the knees into the chest, giving yourself a gentle cuddle. Maybe rocking from side to massage out through the lower back. And coming into stillness. Keeping your hands on the shins, breath in. And exhale, drawing the knees into the chest. Inhale, slight release. And exhale, drawing those knees into the chest. Inhale, slight release. And exhale, drawing those knees into the chest. Inhale, slight release. And now taking the arms to a T or a cactus, we're just going to drop those knees over to the right side, coming into a nice gentle supine twist. Making sure that we keep that left shoulder on the mat. Maybe taking the gaze over that left shoulder if it feels comfortable on your neck. Inhale, legs come back up through center. And exhale, taking them over to the left. Gaze can come over the right shoulder. Inhale, knees come back up through center, taking the soles of the feet to the mat. Now, I'm assuming that you started class with a block or a book or a pillow, because I'd like you to grab that right now. We're going to have a few options to end class, but we're going to start by placing our block, book or pillow underneath our sacrum, which is that bony piece underneath our sort of hips and butt area. So it's just directly above your butt crack, really. So it's on the lowest setting if you're using a block. Place it just underneath the hips. So we don't want that block too high or too low. So making sure that the edge of that block is just right on that butt crack area. And option one is we're going to finish class with legs up the wall. So bringing your legs up high like this. This is a great one and a great release, especially if you do a lot of running or a lot of exercise using your legs. Or option two is just to end in a supported bridge. You can have your soles of your feet on the mat like I am now, or you can extend the legs long. So that's going to work through opening the front of the hip flexors. And this is really great if you spend a lot of time sitting. So we're opening up through those hips. So yogi's choice, dependent on what is going to feel good for your body today. And I'm going to take our legs up the wall and support it. If that brick doesn't feel good there and you're taking legs up the wall, then by all means remove it. But it's just here to help you keep those hips up without needing to use that lower core. If you're in supported bridge, then just gently lifting the hips up and removing that block to come to laying flat on your back. If your legs are up, then let's slowly lower them to the mat. Soles of the feet return down to the ground, and we gently lift up and remove that block. Extending the legs long and getting ready for your Shavasana. So if that means putting on an extra layer or two, maybe grabbing a blanket or a pillow for under the head, whatever feels good. Palms face up. And coming down into Shavasana if you've gone off to get yourself rugged up. Taking a few moments to drop back in on the mat. Once again, tuning into the sounds. Let's start with the sounds that are closest to you, your breath. And then gently working your way out, listening for the sounds that are all around as you relax into your Shavasana. Beginning to wriggle through the fingers and the toes. Maybe rolling through the wrists and the ankles. You might like to rock your head from side to side, so massaging through the back of the skull. I don't know about you, but I like to take a full body stretch when I come out of Shavasana, so arms overhead, really pointing those toes. And then rolling onto your right side. Keeping the eyes shut down if you can. And using the left hand to push yourself up into a comfortable seat and keeping those eyes shut. Bringing your hands to your Anjali Mudra, palms to touch. Bowing the head. Thank you for practicing this super slow-mo flow with me today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today on the mat, and thanking you as well. So thank yourself for showing up and practicing yoga today. Jess and I, we say goodbye for now. If you enjoyed your yoga class, maybe think about subscribing, hitting like below, maybe leaving a comment, or getting in touch via the email address listed in the About section. Thanks so much. My name's Sarah DeBorre. Bye. Jess, are you coming to say bye as well?